And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Shogun After Show, where we dive into all things for the FX and Hulu hit series. And speaking of Hulu series, I don't know if you guys have heard, but recently today, Hulu announced that Shogun has become the #1 viewed premiere in the history of Hulu with over 9 million viewers. So this show is definitely starting to catch, and it is spreading, and I love to hear that. But congratulations to the cast, crew, and production of Shogun for smashing that record. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's
No,
honestly a great show.
it is, and it came at a perfect time. I know we have been in the middle of a serious drought in terms of just not having that many really good shows to watch and review and stuff like that. We've been kind of biding our time, waiting for From season 3 and House of the Dragon season 2 to come around, and then boom, this kind of came around at the perfect time, and it is surpassing all of my expectations by far. I had a feeling it was going to be a good show. I didn't know it was going to be a great show, and it is definitely turning out to be freaking phenomenal. And last night's episode was probably, at least for me, the best one yet. Such a good episode.
Oh yeah, they do. They keep getting better and better. Like it's like, oh, this. I know we say that sometimes, and you hate to hear that. Like, oh, that was the best
Yeah,
show, but it really is. It's like every one just keeps getting better. It's
yeah.
hard to just say, oh, well, this one's better. No, they're all good. I mean, honestly, they're all at least a 9 at this point. Every episode. I'm sorry, I'm giving them all a 9.
No, and you'd be absolutely justified to do so. They have been absolutely phenomenal. It's not often where you get a production on this size and scale come together in the way that this did, with the kind of perfect melding together of the Japanese crew and the American crew coming together to kind of create this masterpiece here. And yeah, it's just the production quality alone is phenomenal. The cinematography is great. The writing's great. The acting is superb. This is one of the best casts I've seen in a series in a long time. They're just firing on all cylinders so far. It's great to see. It is great to see. And we are going to dive into all things episode 3 this evening, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, a lot of stuff happened into this episode. And that's one thing I've noticed about Shogun. It's had some pretty good run times, but it packs a ton of stuff into these episodes, which I'm absolutely enjoying. But we're going to dive into all of it. We're going to take a look at the episode from start to finish, see what you guys thought, and see what else we can see, and see what we can potentially glean as to what's going to be coming in future episodes, because I do have a few theories. I purposely went into this series kind of blind. I purposely did not read the book. Most of the shows that I watch that are based on pre-existing source material, I usually try to read the book first and then watch the show. But for Shogun, I'm doing it in the opposite way. I'm watching the show first, and then I'm going to go back and read the book after the series. Just because every once in a while, it's nice to not know what's going to be coming. I like being surprised every once in a while watching a series. So for that reason, I am definitely going to read the book, but not until after the show is over, because I'm just loving the production, and it'll be fun to kind of compare the two later on. But this has been this has been great. We're going to dive into everything Shogun episode 3, but before we do that, let's see who we have in the awesome chat with us this evening. Let me scroll up here and see who I can see. We got Betrayed King in the house. What is up, Betrayed King? Throwing up the bow. And of course, we do have all new Shogun emojis for channel members. So if you are a channel member, there are some awesome Shogun emojis for you to use. We got a Toranaga one and a Samurai one. And I'm definitely going to make some more. I'm definitely going to try and put out some more Shogun-specific emojis for the channel as we dive into each one of these episodes, because we do plan on doing an after show every Wednesday right around this time for each episode. So I'm looking forward to covering this show. It's been a blast so far. Absolute blast. Absolute blast. We got Kiwi Skirt in the house. What is up, Kiwi Skirt? It is good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. We got Star in the building. What is up, Star? Good to see you, my friend. We got Big Dago in the house. What is up, Big Dago? Good to see you as well. Let me scroll down here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got my wonderful, wonderful co-host with us this evening, Scarlet Fever and Dana Marie. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. I'm excited about tonight. I can barely wait. I'm trying to hold back my excitement and not say anything. It's very difficult.
I know. I'm super, super excited. Super excited. This show is just like a breath of fresh air. I'm so glad that something like this finally came out.
Yeah. It's yeah, it really is. It definitely is a breath of fresh air. Like it feels like we've been going through a major drought with TV series. Now, of course, the big writers and actors strike definitely played a big part in delaying some of the series that we were looking forward to, like From and Yellow Jackets and so on. But this was really great for this to come around right at the perfect time when we were really looking for a good show to kind of dive into. So I'm good. We got Saganisa J in the house as well, and I terribly apologize if I pronounced that wrong. I'm trying to get my pronunciations down because we do have a lot of people that get very upset if you mispronounce the name on this series, and I understand, but I am definitely will endeavor to get my pronunciation down a little bit better. But welcome, and I 100% agree. Use their money well. Saw a lot of the marketing for it online and paid for a Super Bowl spot. Yeah, they really did. I don't know what the budget was for the show. I actually haven't looked that up yet, how much they spent per episode. But yeah, the marketing was good. I remember seeing the commercials for Shogun kind of everywhere in the ensuing weeks before it premiered. And paying for a Super Bowl spot is always going to help. That's for sure. But yeah, they definitely spent their money well in terms of putting together a phenomenal production. Phenomenal production. Love it. I love it. But yeah, let me pull this up here and let's just dive right into this thing, shall we? We will start from the beginning. I see Betrayed King in the house as well. What is up, BK? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Let's see who else we got. I should be addressed as Star-san. Thank you. Yes, we will. We will address you as Star or Star-sama.
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 Star-sama. I'm gonna try. Look, man, y'all can't be doing this to me. It's hard enough.
Yeah, Jeremy-sama. I am Jeremy-sama from now on. Jeremy-san. But no, it's such a great show, and it's a great way to kind of get immersed in the kind of Japanese culture. They're really bringing it forth in the most respectful and accurate way that they can. And like I said, I've always been a huge fan of samurai and stuff like that, but to really get a proper look at an adaptation like this, where they're really striving for accuracy, it's been cool to see. So I like it. I like it. Now, of course, the episode starts off where we have Yabushige writing down his last will and testament because it looks like he has a feeling that he potentially could be meeting his end pretty soon. And I made a little joke about this in my recorded video, how it's never a good spot to be in between the middle of a pissing match in between two feudal lords, which is exactly where Yabushige finds himself right now, in between the middle of Ishida and Toranaga, of course. So he's sensing that this could potentially be the end, and he's actually sitting down and writing his will, thinking, I might just get killed. And of course, the episode starts off with this great conversation between Toranaga and Yabushige. And Toranaga isn't the type to kind of play a lot of those political games. He seems like he's a little bit more of the straightforward type. So he just has Yabushige brought directly to him and confronts him directly. What's going on with you and Ishido? And, where is your head at? I thought, are you a loyal friend? Trying to suss out where Yabushige's head is at in this moment. And you definitely get the sense that Yabushige is maybe potentially trying to play both sides up until this point. Maybe he's not 100% sure which side he wants to go with. But he's definitely playing the fence a little bit up until this point. Now, what do you guys think of Yabushige going forward? Do you think, obviously he starts off as a little bit more of the antagonist role. But having not having not read the books yet, so I'm just going in this from the show perspective only. I could definitely see a potential where he has a good redemption arc, or maybe he just goes down the wrong.
Yeah, I think my mic is making it feedback. But no, yeah, I seen him originally as someone who just didn't feel like perhaps he was being valued. So he
Mm-hmm.
kind of was. Plus, I see why he was playing the fence, and that because even in the scene, he tells him kind of what he wanted. You know, I just kind of want my stuff to grow a little bit. You know, I want a little bit more power. I don't want to be the top dog, but I want a little something more. You know, so he gets caught too, which kind of he realizes, which sucks for him. So of course now he kind of has to. He knows that he's being watched now. He can't
Mm-hmm.
play the both sides as well as he was before. So, I mean, I would hope he would stay loyal to his lord at this point, to Yoshi. But we'll see what he does. I mean, because these people are really playing like everybody's making it's all power play. Like this whole every party is a power play. So it's kind of like who's going to be on top at the end. So I can still see him playing both sides, but it's going to be hard
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I 100% agree with this as well because I haven't read the books, but I do hear in the Shogun book a lot of the story is told from POVs, and you get these kind of interior monologues, which unfortunately, stuff like that is just near to impossible to translate to screen. So I totally understand what you're saying here. It always sucks with book to screen adaptations because you lose the character's inner thoughts. Some of the best moments of the book come from being inside Toranaga's head and watching him scheme. And yeah, that's the stuff that unfortunately the show isn't going to be able to kind of display, whereas the book can really kind of get into the nitty gritty of what these characters are actually thinking. And that's why I really enjoy book versions of stuff, usually a little bit better than the on-screen version. Like, I'm a huge A Song of Ice and Fire fan. That was A Song of Ice and Fire was what I originally started the channel on. And as much as I loved Game of Thrones and am loving House of the Dragon right now, the books are just far superior for that very similar reason, where you have that you have that internal monologue from these characters, and you can find out exactly what they're thinking at any given time. And that's stuff like that. Unfortunately, is hard to translate onto screen. But yeah. I'm looking forward to read the books after the show. I am looking forward to diving into them. I'm probably going to read all 6. I know he has a 6-book series, the Asian series from James Clavell. I always meant to read it. It's always been on my list of books to read for years now. I just never got around to doing it. But definitely going to read it after the series.
Nice.
But yeah, it's good. I think it's going to be good. I started to read a few chapters. And then I was like, I'm not gonna do it this time. This time I'm gonna watch the show first and then read the books. I like that feeling of being surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this part because I like the captain and how he doesn't care about the church.
The captain is absolutely hilarious. Now, of course, this is the captain of the black ship who has been anchored at port for a while. They're awaiting clearance to leave, which Toranaga will not give to them now that Toranaga has learned a little bit more about their dealings and the monopoly that they have on the trade in the region. So Toranaga is looking for a full accounting of all of their exchange rates and books and yada yada before he gives permission. But yeah, like you said, Scarlett, the fucking captain is just not having it. He's like, I work for the crown. I don't work for the church. We're leaving whether you like it or not. And of course, we see our good friend Richard Alpert again, aka Rodriguez. And he's just been a breath of fresh air on this show, no?
Yes, I love you. I mean,
love
honestly, him and oh god, that's hard to pick a favorite, but yeah, him and Blackthorne, just I would say my favorite characters, but them together, like their scenes are some of my favorite.
Yeah. Absolutely, and and Rodriguez 100% cracks me up too. Later on, and I'm sure we're going to dive into it later on when we get there. But the banter between Rodriguez and Blackthorne in this episode, in particular, is just so freaking good. It's just great dialogue, very well written, and very well acted. It's one thing to have good writing and good dialogue written out, but the actors also have to be able to perform that dialogue in a good and believable way. And the performances, the acting on this show has been phenomenal.
And I like this
Absolutely.
part because I think after the captain talks about it to him, he's like, oh, he's still alive. Well, I'll be
Yeah.
fucked.
He's like,
He's
that
still
fucking
alive.
guy's
Well,
still
fuck
alive.
me.
What
He's
the
still
what
alive.
the
What the fuck?
Like the
Well,
respect that Blackthorne's getting as, because, they just assumed he's some pirate barbarian, like
yeah,
garbage. And then yet how he's kind of evolving and growing and learning as he's even in this new foreign land. Like he's starting to learn language, he's learning the customs, he's
yeah.
learning exactly kind of where their honor truly is and what that sacrifice to them means. So yeah, it's really good show. I'm sorry. I
It's
get so excited.
no, it's so good. It's been so great to like I said, only 3 episodes so far, but I'm already completely hooked on the
Mhm.
world, the characters, the setting, the story. I'm all in on Shogun already for sure.
Yeah, and I love
Um,
how like each episode just gets better and you just want more
yeah.
and you're not sitting there like unhappy or unfulfilled. You're just like, give me, give me, give me, give me.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the episodes, and every once in a while, on just about on the majority of shows that I watch, there's always certain scenes or certain characters in certain shows that when they're on screen, it's just like, all right, can we get past this scene already? Boring. But there's not a single boring moment in Shogun so far. All of the characters are good. All of the acting's been good, and I genuinely just want to see more and more and more. But I'm really glad they didn't release it all at once in the binge model. This show is definitely a show that is going to benefit a lot from the fan word of mouth, and having a show come out weekly as opposed to the being dumped all at once is you get to have these kind of conversations, and the Shogun will kind of be in the public zeitgeist for much longer than it would if they were just dumped all at once. And we see this happen a lot, especially from the YouTube side of things, like looking at a lot of these shows from a YouTuber's glasses and seeing what shows that we want to review and stuff. I always go for the weekly shows. I don't think I've ever covered a binge model show on this channel. I don't imagine I probably ever will. The weekly model for me personally is just way more enjoyable. I love waiting for that next week, for that next episode to come around. And it also gives me a chance to really dive into each one of these episodes 2 or 3 times, because I like to watch them at least 2 or 3 times before I try to dive in and give my full review, because there's always stuff you miss the first go around. But yeah, it's they're firing on all cylinders so far. But we have. Can you help me understand who set up the ambush in the woods? Absolutely. Now later on, I guess we can skip to that real quick, and then we'll come right back to here. There is an ambush later on in the woods, and we get some really good action sequences in this episode in particular. And now, of course, the ambush. We have Toranaga and his crew and company. They are on their way to the docks when all of a sudden they are set upon, and the rival who they are set upon by is this man right here. Now, of course, there are 5 different regents on the show that we meet in the first 2 episodes, 5 different regents, and 2 of them are Christians. And of course, we saw one of the big points of contention in those first 2 episodes where the Christian lords really wanted Blackthorne dead. Obviously he's one of their rivals. He's an enemy of their faith. So they really wanted Blackthorne out of the way. And this is one of the regents named Kiyama. And he is one of the Christian regents. And it was him who sent the men after Blackthorne to try and kill Blackthorne here. And they didn't even know Toranaga was going to be here. They solely sent all of these men after Blackthorne. It was just happenstance that Toranaga happened to be there too. But it was Kiyama and his men who set up the ambush in the woods trying to kill Blackthorne. And then it just turns into all freaking pandemonium when Ashido's men see that Toranaga is actually there and they've been deceived. But we'll dive a little bit more into that in a minute. But it was a great action sequence for sure. Really good action sequence. Blackthorne is learning to bathe regularly.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
He's
he
learned a
is.
little bit more than that.
A little bit more. And someone mentioned it in the comment section for my video, and I didn't even think about it at the time, but towards the end of this episode, when we see Toranaga having Blackthorne just dive over and over and over again into the water, and you think that he's maybe just trying to learn how to dive, or maybe Blackthorne has become a little bit too ripe, and Toranaga wanted to have him to have a little bit of a bath, so he had him just keep jumping in over and over again, get that stank off.
That's funny.
A nice way of saying you smell. Go ahead. Let that seawater kind of wash you off.
Yeah.
Smell it kind of right.
Good stuff. That was a good observation. Very good observation. Yeah. Yeah, this was a great scene. And this was, again, this episode had so many really good high moments. And it had some really good moments of levity and some good comedic relief here and there. And that's always good in a period drama piece like this, where most of the show is going to be action and drama. So every once in a while, it's nice to have those little moments of levity and those comedic relief scenes. And that is definitely what we have Blackthorne for. And I just love it. He's like, what is this warlock doing to me? This warlock is going to bleed me. I love it. It's so good.
What is he saying? What is he saying?
What's he saying? Oh, if he's not a warlock, he's certainly a pimp.
Yes.
Great. It was just a perfect comedic relief.
I love it too, because she's like, would you prefer a boy? And he's like, oh my God, where am I at? Please,
like,
somebody save me. What is this
Would
place?
you prefer a man?
We got Ray Barnes in the house. Ray Barnes is demanding Toranaga titties. Yep. Welcome, Ray Barnes. Good to see you, my friend. And I hope you are enjoying Shogun up until this point. And I promise I will get those Tabitha titties before season 3 of From comes back around. That I will. From Tabitha titties to Toranaga titties. All titties are welcome here, guys. We do not discriminate. We do not discriminate. But yeah, this was just a really good scene. And again, it's a theme that we have seen on the show up until this point, where we're seeing this clashing of two different worlds, two different cultures kind of clashing, where we're seeing Blackthorne and him and his kind of English upbringing totally clashing with the kind of foreign nature of the feudal Japan culture here. And it's just really fun to see these two kind of perspectives clash and see how they react to certain things. But yeah, Blackthorne has been just a delight up until this point. Love
and he's such a little baby in this moment. Like he's all like, the guy's like, he's so tense. He's so tense. Go get him a woman. Like just have a relax.
He's a woman, not a doctor. Yeah.
And he's like pulling back, like all scared. Like, what are you doing to me? What are you cleaning your wound? Let him clean your wound, dude. That's all he's doing.
This warlock's trying to bleed me. Release all the foulness from my blood.
Yeah, he said it like that was so good.
Man, yeah, really good stuff. And then, of course, Mariko's husband enters the room, asks if the animal is behaving himself as the Toranaga party is getting ready to depart. Now, of course, they are under the guise that Toranaga feels that Osaka has become a little unsafe for his guests. So the ruse is that they are transporting Blackthorne and Lady Kitty back to Ajin, the fishing village of Yabushige. But little do they know, Toranaga is about to show everybody why he is a master of trickery, known for his trickery, as Mariko puts it later. But before that happens, we get this scene, and this is, it's definitely heartbreaking to see this. You hate to see, the tragic circumstances that happened in the first episode with the husband kind of speaking out of turn, and as a result, having to commit seppuku, whatever it's called. And yeah, it's just a heartbreaking scene. You see the remains get brought to the mother here, and but there was some really good dialogue here that you guys pointed out as well, and I totally agree with you here. How he kind of explains to her that her husband was part of a greater fight, and he died because he was part of a greater fight, and now it's your turn. Basically saying that now it's your turn to fight. You have to find something to find. You have to find a reason to want to live, because in the books and in the original series, after this event happens, she apparently spends a good amount of the series wanting to commit suicide, but Toranaga will not let her. So she really has to kind of find a new reason to keep on going and a new reason to live. And Blackthorne actually ends up playing a pretty good part in that, at least in the original.
Well, I know that face she gives when he's like telling her that is like made me think like, yes, she's gonna fight at some point. Like, I don't know. I just got this vibe that yes, she might be a little badass later. Because
She
some of
might
these
be.
chicks are badasses. They're not like the same as like the dudes, like the samurais out there fighting.
They're
But
still
they're like
badass,
these
though, yeah.
like sneaky little assassins and shit, like that you just gotta be like they're gonna sneak into your bed and you just wouldn't even know.
Right? Yeah, like the assassin we get in at the end of episode 2, the female assassin that sneaks in and just absolutely tears Toranaga's guards to shreds until Toranaga finally takes her out. But yeah, the females are definitely capable of being pretty badass here, and we do see that later on with Mariko when she actually picks up and starts fighting herself to help
Mhm.
Toranaga later.
I
So, good
felt
stuff.
for her in this moment. Like, I honestly felt for her. Just looking at those boxes and just imagine the only reason why you're alive is because of who your grandfather is. They spared you because of him, and like trying to find a new purpose after this moment. Like,
Yeah,
being given the remains of your baby, like I can't imagine what
I
she's
know, right?
feeling.
It's the one thing that I imagine every single parent fears above all else is your child unfortunately dying before you. It just goes it's against the natural order. It's not how things are supposed to go. And yeah, it's heartbreaking to see her, not only lose a child, but to lose an infant baby at that point who barely had a chance to even see the world. It's just
And she had to
it's
watch
heartbreaking.
it. She had to witness it.
Yeah,
And she couldn't do anything in that moment because of their customs. Like, she just
yeah,
had to sit there and watch it and
got to
take
accept
it.
it. Yeah. And again, and that definitely is another good example of the kind of clashing of cultures that we see a lot in this show, and how it really paints a pretty brutal yet pretty accurate version of feudal Japan and how some of their customs were. And Ray Barnes says, "Good show so far, but I'm not a big fan of the subtitles." I have been hearing that from a few people. Not everybody likes subtitles, and that is totally fine. And I am hearing, I haven't actually gone and checked myself, but I have heard that Hulu does have a dubbed version. So if subtitles are not for you, I am hearing that there is a version to what there is a dubbed version on Hulu where you can watch it all in English. I haven't checked it yet myself. It's just something that I've heard, so I can't 100% confirm that that's true. But I have heard from a few people that there is an English dubbed version available on Hulu if you don't want the subtitles.
Yeah, it's out there because my that's how my friend watches it. He watches the
Oh,
dubbed
nice.
version. Yeah, you just have
Awesome.
to be a Hulu member, so you can't get it from like you can't go into your FX like on your regular basic cable and get it. It's
Yeah.
strictly on Hulu because it's a way
Okay.
that they're trying to pull in subscribers.
Okay. Awesome. And it seems like they are. They definitely are, as Hulu has recently announced that Shogun has smashed the record for the most watched premiere in the history of Shogun with 90 million viewers or something crazy like that. So a lot of people are definitely tuning into Hulu to watch this show. So that's awesome. And yes, absolutely. Can we spoil certain things that happen in the book? Like at this point in the book and backwards, nothing forwards, of course. Like in the book, he resides first and then he escapes Osaka Castle. Absolutely, yeah. At where we are at this point in the show, if anything has happened in the books that's a little bit different from what we have already seen, yeah, that is absolutely totally okay to talk about. We want to try and stay away from future spoilers, but anything that's happened up until this point, absolutely, we can talk about for sure. And I'm interested to know some of the differences because I know there are a few differences from the book to the show, which of course is always bound to happen in an adaptation. But yeah, if it's stuff that has happened up until this point, that is absolutely fair game. By all means, absolutely, fire away. They will flesh out. They will flesh her out. They're building her up from all the trauma. Eventually, she'll move closer to Blackthorne. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Fuji and Mariko are among my favorites in the 1980 series. Awesome, Star. Awesome.
They're among some of my favorites in the series we're watching now because they play very graceful yet powerful characters.
Yes,
Yeah.
agree.
I like them.
Super graceful, and it's really cool to see all of the work that went into making this portrayal of feudal Japan as accurate as possible. There are a few behind the scenes videos that FX released and some of the making of videos, and you really start to see just how much effort went into this production, and it was a lot. They went out and hired specific experts in feudal Japan to teach them gestures, the correct way of moving, the correct way of wearing a kimono, sword fighting, the proper way to hold a katana. They taught all of these actors everything they could possibly need to know to accurately depict what life was potentially like in feudal Japan. And to see that attention to detail and the authenticity, I think, is really what is going to set this show apart from any of the other kind of samurai media that we've seen in the past. Like The Last Samurai, phenomenal movie. I loved The Last Samurai. But there are a lot of historical inaccuracies in The Last Samurai pertaining to how the samurai really were. But here they are going as accurate as I have seen personally in any production. So
Well,
I'm
even
really
the way
loving
they
the
sit
details.
when they sit for the council meetings, like you
Yep.
see just the gestures that they make, and it's like this unique way of even the way that they sit and present
Yep.
themselves to one another. Like it's all like it's all in their movements that is just you see a respect just out of the way that they sit down. Even though they're at war with each other, they still present themselves to each other in a
Yeah.
respectful manner. Like it's just so
Everything is
graceful.
graceful, exactly. I was going to say everything is done with a certain aspect of elegance. Almost everything they do has that elegant kind of feel to it, even if it's something as simple as them pouring a little cup of tea. Everything is done very gracefully. So yeah, 100%. Jeremy, what's the next show we're reviewing? After this, we will probably be going right into House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon Season 2 has recently announced that Season 2 will air in June. So it's coming a little bit sooner than I anticipated. I thought House of the Dragon would probably come around August, but we are getting House of the Dragon Season 2 right in June. So as soon as Shogun is over, we're going to be going right into House of the Dragon afterwards. Unless, of course, if there's another show that pops up in between, we'll definitely talk about that. But in terms of the kind of main shows that we cover here on the channel, we are all in on Shogun right now. And then when Shogun is over, we're going to be having House of the Dragon not long after that. And then when House of the Dragon is over, we'll have From Season 3 not long after that. So we got a pretty good lineup of shows to look forward to this year. I can't wait. And yeah, I'm right there with you, John. I'm the same way. I try very hard to pronounce the names and everything as well as I can, but there's always people that get upset with me in my comment section because I maybe mispronounce stuff. But it's to each their own. I understand. I cannot even remember the names. Nonetheless, pronounce them. Yeah, I'm right there with you, my friend. I'm right there with you. As Kayla points out, I'm from Mass. I don't pronounce shit right. I don't even pronounce my own language right. I mean, let alone the Japanese dialect on some of these names. It's tough. But
exactly.
yeah,
I can't even say similar right. I say it with the U. I had to say it that time properly. I had to think about it. So yeah.
I
apologize.
English is a second language.
Yeah.
I don't say anything right being from New York. So
no, yeah, the butchery of some of the names and locations, I promise, is not done on purpose on our parts. That's for sure.
I'm trying to learn though, so be patient. Hopefully, by the end, we will all know them properly. Maybe.
Yeah. Indeed.
Don't count on it from me. Don't count on it from me.
Let's not count on it. Let's not go too far. No.
I'm trying to be positive here, man.
Exactly. I get made fun of all the time. So the newest word that people were getting on me was even Scarlet was Mario, so I don't even say Mario
I
right.
don't.
So
Yeah,
I
the
love it
Mario
though.
thing. That'll.
I want it.
Mario,
I'll never understand how a fellow Italian cannot say Mario right. I'm
Mario.
sorry,
I'm
Dan.
sorry, Mario. I can't Mario. I'm sorry. I'm
I love it.
sorry,
It's Mario. He is my new
Mario.
favorite. He's a favorite little dude to put Mario or Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
Hmm,
I love it.
yeah, Mario Kart. Jeez.
I'm a favorite new plumber. How do you do
Um,
Luigi there?
Luigi.
Oh,
Luigi.
sorry. Off topic there. My bad.
no, you're good. You're good. We also have here, then I can say they rushed into honoring Blackthorne with the Hatamoto title from the books. That appears at a later point after later events. Maybe they wanted to end the episode with development. Yeah, it could be. The Hatamoto title that Blackthorne is honored with at the end of this episode is basically Toranaga making him an honorary samurai. Basically, that is a Yatamoto is a samurai, and it kind of the word itself loosely translates to bannerman. But yeah, I did hear that this was in the books, but it does happen a little bit later on, and yeah, maybe they just did it a little bit sooner on the show to kind of convey to the audience the relationship between Blackthorne and Toranaga. That they are starting to develop that friendship, and maybe they just wanted to develop that a little bit earlier on screen than in the books. And also, the books has a lot more time to kind of flesh things out. You can get away with a lot more on a book than you can on a TV series. A show like this that only has 10 episodes, they have a very limited amount of time. So I imagine a lot of things from the books are probably going to get condensed and maybe swapped around a lot. Sometimes it just makes it a little bit easier to get the story on screen. But yeah, I imagine we will see some small changes like that here and there for sure. The council meetings I truly appreciate, says Kayla. Awesome. Yes, hell yeah, for my birthday month. I'm getting my wish. June is long enough. Yeah, I cannot wait. House of the Dragon season 2 is coming, guys. It is coming. And yeah, I was pronouncing Yabushige as Yabushki at first. That's how bad my Yabushki was, but it is Yabushige, and that is another name that was changed from the books. His name, of course, is not Yabushige in the books. That's a show change. But next we have the convoy is getting ready to depart from Osaka. Toranaga feels like there is too much danger inside Osaka, too many assassins, so he wants to send Blackthorne and Lady Kiri away to safety. But little did we know, Toranaga is about to show everybody just exactly how trickery he can be. And I love this scene right here where his servant hands him his will. He's like, "Lord, your will," and he's like, "Nope, not today. I'm not dying today." Rips it up and hands it back to him, kind of like saying, "Nope, I am not dying today. Get this thing out of my sight." That was a fun scene. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that,
He
and I'm
did.
loving.
He did. He's like,
Sorry.
nope. Bop.
Nope, not today. Not
Death will
today.
not find me today.
Yep, not today.
I like the
And
one dude. I forget which one that's in with them right now, but when they do get ready to go check them, and he's just like, "Nah, yeah, no grays are supposed to be passed. Like, you're not supposed to come do this according to protocol." And he's like, "Oh, have you ever been in battle, like you little brat?" And he's like, "I'll do it right now. Let's
Tornaga's
go."
son.
Yeah, it was Toranaga's son.
Tornaga's son. Yep.
Yeah, he was ready. I liked it. He's like, "All right, I'm a little dude. Let's go."
He's like, yeah, we can go right now, right here, right now. He was ready. He was game. He was game. And I am loving Tatanano Asano's character, Yabushige. His performance has been absolutely phenomenal. Just seeing the trailers before the show started, I had a feeling that this character was going to be a lot of fun to kind of dive into. He seemed like he had Littlefinger vibes to him, and he definitely is a little bit on the Littlefinger side. But I'm loving his performance. Tatanabo Asano's character, or his performance anyway, has been great as Yabushige. Good stuff. But here we have the convoy getting ready to depart. And this is, we get a really good glimpse as to just how brilliant of a tactician that Toranaga really is, and how clever he is, where he uses the clever distraction of his wife fainting to be sick, so they can kind of do that quick swap and swap out Lady Kiri for Toranaga. And unfortunately, nobody knew. Luckily, Blackthorne saw it out the corner of his eye, which is going to play into part later on. But I wonder if Blackthorne had not seen the swap, what would have happened later during the second inspection? I think Toranaga could have been screwed if Blackthorne didn't kind of do that quick improv to keep him from getting caught. But if nothing else, we see Toranaga employ a very simple but very effective form of sleight of hand. You look here while I do something over here. It's a trick. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book, but very effective. Sleight of hand, ladies and gentlemen. Sleight of hand. And yeah,
I
we see
know, I
Toranaga.
did love that part. What I love even more is, and I know I'm gonna say his name wrong, Ishido. I love how he knew that Toranaga. Oh my god, I'm so terrible names. I love how he kind of knew that he would do something like this, because he set up basically 5 checks.
Yeah.
He knew, and he still kind of got past him. But I wonder, did he let him pass? Because it was almost like he knew, but then he still kind of let him pass.
Yeah, it's he's got that kind of look on his face, like, what's going on there? Did something just happened? He's always suspicious, and you got to hand it to Ishido at the very least. He's kind of aware of his surroundings. He's always on guard a little bit, and he's very thorough. He's certainly very thorough in his inspections.
All the regent leaders, especially Ishido and Token. I'm gonna call him Yoshi because I can say that better.
Toranaga.
Toranaga. I will get there, I promise. But
Yoshi's
those two, I can do Yoshi better. But him and Shido, they seem to play this game very well with each other. They know each other very well and kind of how they're going to move. So it is very fun to see how they're sort of like a chess game or something. It's how the parties are moving, because they are very meticulous and very smart. They're not showing their hand, like they said, you don't show your heart. That's just how the game is played, and they're doing it so beautifully.
Yeah, the political intrigue between Toranaga and Ishido has been one of the some of the better scenes in the series, because like you said, they're familiar with each other. They know each other. They've served on the council together for years. So they know how each other operates. So, you can totally see Ishido being extra on guard here, probably knowing in the back of his mind that Toranaga is going to try something at some point. Indeed. I feel like this was different than the book. I thought that he was already dressed, but they did this for the show to start to get the relationship between Blackthorne and Toranaga. Yeah, you definitely get the sense that they want to establish that friendship between Toranaga and Blackthorne early on. And again, a book has much more time to flesh some of these things out, whereas a show and this show in particular, only has 10 episodes, so they only have 10 hours to tell this story. So they do have to kind of condense some things and switch some things out. The way Ishido prepped to square off before opening Kiri's box, yeah, that was pretty funny. He had that look like he was ready to square up, like he was ready for that box to open and he was ready for Toranaga to come out of it. You see the stance that he's in. Yeah, right here. He's ready. Yeah. He's ready for war. He's got the fist out. He's ready.
Toranaga did pop out of there, and it was like samurai on fight.
Go. He's ready to go. He's expecting Toranaga to be in that box. He's ready to go.
He was like, open it. Let's see. Open it. I'm ready. That box.
It was a good old fashioned version of what's in the box.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Right here in the middle, Amazing Spider-Man number 300.
You lie! You're a fucking liar! Shut up!
What's in the box? But yeah, he was ready to square up. He was ready to fight what was ever coming out of that box until it was revealed that it was just Lady Kitty. Good old Lady Kitty, who he does seem kind of fond of. As soon as he saw that it was her, he got a nice smile on his face. I'm sad to see you go. Seems like he's a little fond of Lady Kitty, if I had
I
to
love
say
that.
so
She
myself.
tells him there's too many assassins. And they all say that, like, we don't, too many, we all know who the assassins are. I love how they're just like, just these random bandits and assassins are causing all this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good back and forth. Really good dialogue and intrigue on just about all of these characters. But yeah, luckily we see Toranaga and Lady Kiri successfully make the swap as she runs back into the house, and Toranaga is, for the moment, safe and sound inside the litter. But we'll see how safe he remains. And yeah, a little smirk on Blackthorne's face because he's the only one that kind of caught what was going on. And Mariko. It seems like Mariko caught it out the corner of her eye, too. So it seems like up until this point, only Blackthorne and Mariko know that Toranaga is in the car. But yeah, good, like I said, good stuff. Good sleight of hand. Sleight of hand is one of the oldest tricks in the book, but it is one of the best when employed properly. You can do a lot of trickery with sleight of hand.
Well, when Lady Kira was like telling him like there's too many assassins in Osaka, it was almost like a dig because Osaka is Ishido's territory. So she was kind of like saying like basically your territory sucks right now, dude. Like I'm leaving because it's not safe. So it was almost like a little hidden dig in that little sentence of yeah, I'm out. Your place sucks. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a little bit of a dig, probably. Yeah. Like, hey, your castle isn't safe, pal. I'm getting out of here. I am getting out of here. And yeah, she sneaks back inside. And now it is in the hands of the gods. Let's see, we got Leo V. What is up, Leo V? When I watched the scene with Lord Hiromatsu with the regents giving Toranaga's resignation, it feels like Lord Hiromitsu should be Taiko as far as age goes. Yeah, he definitely carries himself like a Taiko type. I would totally buy him as a Taiko, indeed, for sure. And again, we get some really good shots. I really like the landscape shots that we get in Shogun. Every once in a while, they'll pull really, really far back, and you'll just get this wide landscape shot of some really good cinematography. So I'm loving those long, drawn-out shots where we get a really good look at the landscape overall. I really enjoy shots like that. Good stuff. And here, this was a really interesting part too, where we learn a little bit more about Toranaga's past, in particular what he went through as a child. As Mariko points out to Blackthorne that when Toranaga was a child, his father traded him to a rival Busho. And that is where Toranaga learned to kind of trust nobody but himself and to never really show your true heart. And you can totally see that had a lasting effect on Toranaga going forward, because even till this day, he plays things incredibly close to the chest. He doesn't let people in on what he's doing, so much to the point where it could even be to his detriment, which we're about to see here, where luckily Blackthorne and Mariko saw the swap, but had they not seen the swap, this could have been one of the instances where Toranaga, playing things a little too close to the chest, could have come around to bite him in the ass. Because he easily could have been caught in from this second inspection. If Blackthorne didn't know that he was in that cart, Blackthorne would have had no reason at all to try and stop this guy. So every once in a while, they kind of convey that playing things a little too close to the chest, while safe in some regards, can also bite you in the ass sometimes as well.
Oh yeah, this was my favorite part when he starts going on his rant. I laughed so hard when he was like ranting away, trying to stop him from looking in the box, and Mariko's like trying to like help him out, and nobody's listening to him, and he's just losing his mind. But it was really funny.
I love what he called him. And then he apologized later for the comment.
Yeah, he apologized to Mariko. He's like, sorry about the part about the hair. Sorry about the ponytail. Your head looks like the tail of a pony.
A pony.
Pony. He goes off.
Oh my god, it was so good. Dude,
Yeah.
these facial expressions though, yeah, the guy that's playing Blackthorne is really good.
Yeah,
He's like
Cosmo
grabbing his
Jarvis.
heart. The purity of a woman. How dare
The
you?
purity of a woman.
How
Yeah.
dare you?
He is. He's. I mean, and I really enjoy an actor that can pull off a ton of emotion using nothing but facial expressions. And Blackthorne, or Cosmo Jarvis, the actor playing Blackthorne, is definitely very good at that. And I was struggling to think what I saw this guy in previous to Shogun, and then I realized that he was in Raised by Wolves. He was actually the guy in Raised by Wolves who created the android mother. So that's where I recognize him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Nice.
Yeah,
I did not
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah.
But I love that show too. That was a tragedy.
Such a tragedy. Such a tragedy. I really do. I'm so bummed we didn't get more Raised by Wolves. That show was really getting good. Too bad. It is too
know.
bad.
Yep, all the good ones they like to take from us.
Yeah, they like to take them. And it's usually two and done, especially where HBO is concerned. HBO will usually give a series 1 or 2 seasons, and then they'll just pull the plug. That we got 2 seasons of Carnival, then canceled. We got 2 seasons of Raised by Wolves, then canceled. 2 seasons of Rome, then canceled. HBO likes to give you 2 and then cut the lights out, unfortunately. But I thought it was great visually that we could see what was happening in the night scenes, unlike another show. Yep. And ambush with fire arrows. I guess it helps for audience to see. Absolutely. I mean, and we have seen some just piss poor lighting when it comes to some nighttime scenes, like Game of Thrones, and even House of the Dragon is kind of guilty of this in some episodes in season 1, where some of these night scenes are just incredibly poorly lit. Or in the case of House of the Dragon, they're shooting night scenes during the day and trying to convert it into a night scene in post-production, and it just never looks quite right as it will if it was naturally dark with the right lighting. So I do appreciate that. We could at least see what was going on in the nighttime scenes, so 100% agree there. But yeah, the fight choreography could have been a little bit stronger. I definitely agree there. Now, I get they're trying to convey a little bit of a more accurate fighting style. We see, samurai fighting and a lot of other stuff, and the fighting and the movement often looks flawless. But with all of that armor on, I imagine it is not that easy to move pretty quickly. So maybe they were just trying to go for a little bit more of a realistic approach. But I do agree, some of the fighting choreography, it could have been a little bit better. I definitely agree there. Could have been a little bit better. I don't know what they had less time to rehearse, but it didn't feel kinetic enough. Bentaro's last stand was better in that. Yeah, his last stand was actually, it was definitely a little bit better than some of the fight scenes we got in the woods. That I definitely agree with, for sure. For sure. Where is Lady Kitty now? Stuck in Osaka. Yeah, exactly. Toranaga was lucky enough to get out, but now Lady Kitty is stuck in Osaka, surrounded by enemies. So there is that. There is that. Let's see what else we got here. The regions cannot kill Lady Kitty in Taiko's heir, right? No, I don't believe so. I do believe she is safe. I think so. I do believe she is safe. But up next, yeah, again, just great improv from Blackthorne, saving the day once again, gets right over there in the nick of time and shuts the litter. And just, again, the freaking look on Blackthorne's face when he's just going off. Absolutely hilarious. He's just, the dude's a mad lad. Absolute mad lad.
He takes the beating pretty well, too.
Yeah,
Just knocks the crap out of him.
He does. He takes a beating pretty well. Yeah. He didn't go nearly as psycho as I expected here. I thought he went the perfect level of psycho. Again, I don't have reference to compare it to from the book, but just this scene in and of itself, I feel like he used the perfect amount of kind of psychotic to convey his nuttiness. I enjoyed it. I thought this was a really good scene. Very good scene. Leave it to the Stofers hater to not have an icon, says Crazy Mad. Oof. Shots fired.
I'm trying so hard to ignore him. I saw I was naked. I didn't want to just pop out. I saw I was going to fix it. Homemade is the only way. Ha.
Yep. Indeed. And yeah, they cancel way too many good shows. And yeah, Shido's Men is like typical barbarian behavior. LOL. Yeah, they see Blackthorne running around like a madman. They're like, there's a reason why we call you barbarian, I guess. You mad lad. So that's a good point. Very good point. Are the other regents samurai separated by color of their armor? That I wanted to clarify. I'm not 100% sure. I know Toranaga's armor in particular was made specifically because of a dream that he had. Apparently, Toranaga had a dream, and in the dream, he saw that exact armor. So that's why Toranaga's armor looks the way that it does. It was something that he saw in a dream. But the rest of them, I am not sure. Between the mention of China, might as well split the heavens between Japan and China's Korean mentions of war. Fuji's dad, Yabushige's Ishido passed, not surprised. Portugal/papacy snuck under the radar. Yeah, it did. And they were certainly very isolated in Japan. And we learned that very early on from Blackthorne, where the Portuguese didn't even really tell Japan, anything about them. We hear one of the first things Blackthorne says is, they don't know about us, do they? So the Portuguese and the Spanish definitely had a very firm grip on this region, and they really had a monopoly, for lack of a better term, on the trade routes in and out. Breaking news, Blackthorne loves Stofers. Oh, no.
He's killing me, Jeremy. He's
No.
killing me, Jeremy. I'm trying so hard to be appropriate and nice for the stream, and he's trying to bait me. You see this, right? You guys see this, right? He's trying to bait me. Trying to bait you,
yeah. And apparently in the books, Ishido's men are known as grays, and Toranaga's men are known as browns. So that would explain why Toranaga's son said there's no grays allowed near the litter. There we go. So thank you for that. Similar to the blacks and the greens that we have on House of the Dragon. And yeah, colors have been used to identify, a house or a clan for centuries. So it makes sense.
Ooh, do we get to pick colors? I'm going. What was it? Brown. I'm going brown. Yeah.
Yeah. If we're picking between gray and brown, I am going Team Toranaga. Give me that brown all day.
Hell
I don't care if it's Cucka Brown.
Yeah.
Give me that Cucka Brown over that gray any day.
Pretty much.
But next we get another really good scene, and again we get some really good dialogue and character developing moments in this episode in particular, where we learn not only a lot about Toranaga's past when we find out what his father did to him, trading him to a rival Busho, and that in turn really having a lasting effect on Toranaga as to why he's very distrusting. But we also learn a little bit about Blackthorne here as well, that he himself also has 2 children back home.
Yep.
So
little Tudor and Elizabeth, I think.
Tudor and Elizabeth, I believe. Yeah. Which are probably very English, and of course, no doubt named after the Tudors and Elizabeth, the Queen Elizabeth. But again, it's just good character developing moments where they're fleshing these characters out a little bit more. They're letting you know that Blackthorne isn't just some kind of savage pirate barbarian, that he is human, he is a person, he's got a family of his own, and the character development has been really good. Good stuff. And again, just the crazy looks that are on Blackthorne's face all the time. I love. You can pause at like any point during a Blackthorne scene, and you'll find a crazy looking face, a crazy looking look on his face all the time. The guy is he emotes very well, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Appropriate.
It's
Sorry, go ahead.
funny. No, I was just laughing with you. His faces are very comical.
Oops, sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. I'm sitting there talking. My mic's on mute. Boomer. What a boomer I am. But of course, abruptly, the caravan comes under attack, and it looks like the Christian regents have once again come for Blackthorne, and Kiyama in particular. Which, of course, and it's funny later on, we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but Kiyama completely screws himself here in this moment. His lack of patience really screwed him. But as of right now, we see Toranaga, Yabushige, and company basically just fighting for their life, trying to fight off the attack that has come. And this, of course, forces Toranaga to reveal himself. Up until this point, nobody other than Blackthorne and Mariko even knew Toranaga was here. But with this attack coming, Toranaga was forced to kind of reveal himself. And then the all pandemonium starts to break out, where even his son didn't realize he was in the litter. Then that just goes to show you how much how much Toranaga really does play things very close to the chest. He didn't even let his own son know he was in this car. But yeah, we see them, do a pretty good job of fighting their way out. But unfortunately, once Ishido's men realize that Toranaga is here, they also turn on the caravan. So Toranaga and his men go from fighting Kiyama's men to fighting everybody. But luckily, Toranaga and crew seem to be the vastly superior fighters here in this instance, and they do manage to fight their way out. But it was a good action scene. Again, some of the hand-to-hand combat, some of the sword fighting could have been a little bit tighter, could have been a little bit cleaner. I will definitely agree there. But overall, I did enjoy the action sequence, and I like how they're using action very sparingly up until this point. They're not just overwhelming us with a bunch of sword fights. They're being very deliberate and meticulous with the action scenes, because you want, like, for me personally, you want to have a good balance of drama and action, and I feel like Shogun is doing that pretty well up until this point, where they're giving us a pretty decent balance of intrigue, political intrigue, dialogue, character development, but also throwing in a decent amount of action here and there as well. Not too much though, so I enjoy that.
Yeah, I wonder what Ishido's gonna do, or how he's gonna feel about his men being attacked. I don't think they were expecting that.
Sorry, what was that?
I think Ishido confronts him at a point in the episode, because he's like, he basically is like, "Yo, what happened out there? Like,
Yeah.
what was going on?" And I kind of felt in this moment that Yabushige basically
You can just
chose
call him
a side.
Yabu if you want.
Thank you, Yabu. That would be much better. Thank you very much. I felt like he chose a side in this moment, because he stood by Toranaga in this moment. And he even said to Ishido's little right-hand man that was with the caravan, like, "I'm still going to fulfill my obligation to my master." He's like, "Don't get it twisted. Like, I might help you, but I'm like," I almost felt like he chose a side in this moment. Whether he keeps it, and since I don't know from the books, like, if he does, I really felt he chose a side in this moment. So I kind of was like, all right, maybe he's not as shady as we thought he was, but if we're looking at him like a little finger, then yeah, there's still time for him to still screw Toranaga over.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious though, because Ishido, I'm assuming now there's going to be a rift between the regents, because his men died in that fight, and the other guy didn't care. He was like, "Well, I guess his men can die down there too." So they're not going to be very happy. And I know they're not. I don't know. I'm just curious to see how the different leaders are now going to. The rifts are coming. I'm curious to see where the sides are going to fall.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely see a little bit of the rift forming within the council, specifically between the Christian regions and Ashido. So yeah, I imagine that is going to continue to blossom. And we do have Toranaga in this episode try to convince the priest to bring the Christian regions to his side and ally against Ashido. So we'll have to see how that plays out as well. But yeah, it's good stuff. The escape from the blockade was different. They have a standoff. Objective was to trade for a cannon from the other ship. Rodriguez throws Anjin off the ship to help him escape, and Anjin swims. Interesting. Interesting. During the standoff, Toranaga sees the masters of the sea, Anjin and Rodriguez pilot at work, and he painfully realizes for Japan to be a truly powerful, they need an actual navy. And that definitely makes sense. I mean, because that's the one thing Japan doesn't have. They have some of the best ground forces in the world and some of the most superior hand-to-hand combat fighters in the world. But at this point, they have no standing navy of their own. And if you do want to be a really powerful player at any point in time, whether it's back then or nowadays, you have to have a strong navy for sure. So I could see that. That makes sense. Definitely makes sense. But yeah, I'd like to know your plan before it happens next time. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. In other words, I'll never tell you again. I'll never tell you anything.
Yeah, right. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Your frenemies even closer.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, we get the awesome last stand from Buntaro as he stays behind to buy Toranaga and crew enough time to make it to the docks. And this was such a freaking awesome scene. When we finally do get to the docks, Toranaga, Blackthorne, and crew, they successfully managed to take off. But unfortunately for Buntaro, he arrives just a few minutes too late. And this was such a great scene to see, Toranaga, step up like that and just kind of pay respect to Buntaro, knowing that he is probably going to meet his end. And he fights like an absolute demon here on this in this fight scenes. And I definitely agree that this fight scene was a little bit cleaner than some of the fight scenes we saw in the actual woods. But yeah, you got to hand it to Buntaro. I mean, he might be a little bit of an asshole, and he and Mariko certainly don't have the best of marriages. But one thing you certainly cannot take away from him is he is a badass warrior and a very loyal supporter of Toranaga. He was ready to go to his death here in this scene, happily. This was good.
Yeah, absolutely agree with everything you said. It was like almost like in a way a redeeming factor for him, even though it was tragic that he had to, he lost his life for it, so to speak. But it did let you see, even I think Mariko kind of had that look on her face, like she still respected her husband, but she still felt very sad, almost like she knew what was going to happen, and she just was like, dang.
Yeah, they might have a bad relationship, but at the end of the day, it's still her husband. It's still the father of her child. I imagine even though they don't have the best relationship, it's still something that, she would not want to happen, him dying.
He did. He took on so many of those dudes.
Is he dead, though?
He did.
Because he kind of
I don't
fought
think
his
he's
way
dead.
off.
Okay, I was going to ask that too.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
And again,
really
I covered this on my episode 3 review, but and this is where sometimes trailers for shows can accidentally reveal and spoil things that they maybe didn't mean to, because if you're like me and you dissect every frame of these trailers before these shows come out, which I very much do, I love dissecting these trailers and seeing what we can see. We do see a couple scenes of Buntaro and Blackthorne that haven't happened yet. One scene in particular with Buntaro holding his katana to Blackthorne's throat, with Blackthorne saying, "Go ahead, now's as good a time as any." So I'm pretty sure he doesn't die. And the last time we see him up here, we see him fighting his way out. And the last time we see him, he is right here, and he disappears into this hallway, and he's still alive. That's the last time we see him. So we don't see him get killed, and more than likely he is going to survive, and we most likely will see him in future episodes. But again, that is where sometimes trailers can spoil things accidentally.
Ooh, so is he going to get captured, or does he like escape and make it
I think
out?
he just makes it out.
Ooh.
Maybe he gets captured and gets out another way, or maybe he just makes it out himself.
'Cause, I mean, that was a horde of people. Like he
Yeah.
just snuck out, super ninja.
Good stuff. Very good stuff. Bintaro embodies everything a samurai warrior is in that scene. Beautiful heroic sacrifice. Absolutely. 100%. It was just completely selfless. He did this just to give his lord enough time to escape. And that is the samurai's doctrine, the samurai code at the end of the day. You do whatever you can to protect your lord. And he did that. Yeah, he very much embodied what it means to be a samurai in this scene. 100%. And it was a great freaking scene, man. Seeing him on the dock, just take a knee like that, knowing that this is probably his end, the look on his face when he's looking at Mariko, he's just great scene. Very well acted, very well written, and the tone just came across beautifully. This is a really good scene. And yeah, even if he did die here, he went out like an absolute badass, but pretty sure he makes it.
He just embodies what it meant for honor during this time. Like
Yeah.
he just, it was his honor to fall in that moment if that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like that's loyalty you don't see in some cultures and races like you do in some of the honor is like the biggest thing for them. Even when the guy in the
Death
very
before
first
dishonor.
scene,
That's the samurai code.
like it's crazy to think how much it meant to them.
Yeah, it's just, and again, it really showcases the difference in culture and the difference in upbringing between Blackthorne's upbringing and the upbringing of your average everyday samurai, where yes, it's honor means something totally different to them as it will to maybe your average everyday person. I'd like for the show to explain why he couldn't just swim. In the book, Blackthorne is pissed and tries to signal for him to swim, and about why wasn't anyone else trying harder to save him. Yeah, Blackthorne in this scene, you can see Blackthorne was trying to get Yabushige to turn around and go back for him, and that entered my mind as well as why didn't he just swim? But I definitely agree with Leo. That's one of the reasons probably why he didn't swim, is swimming with that much armor on, especially heavy full body samurai armor like that. It would be extremely hard for him to stay afloat, and he probably would have just as likely drowned as he would have as he was to make it to the boat. So that's probably why he didn't swim. I mean, swimming with all of that armor, that's going to be a task. That is going to be a task for sure. But next we get to the galley, and Blackthorne quickly notices a lot of very sus fishing boats on the horizon that strangely look like a blockade. You guys are not being inconspicuous at all, I see.
No, that was like very obvious.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, you got people who fish at night? He's like, what's going on out there?
Yeah, do people
You see
fish
this?
in a freaking straight line and block the entire mouth of the river like that usually at this time of night? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Something up.
And they're all just like, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They're
He's
gonna
like, yeah,
attack
we
us.
try to go through them. They're going to try to board us, right? Yeah, we're dead.
Pretty much.
But that boat
Okay,
there.
just wanted to make sure. Just
Yeah.
checking.
Just checking. And Blackthorne quickly knows, and we see the cross, so we instantly know that this is Kiyama's men as well, the same men who attacked the caravan in the woods. And Blackthorne comes up with a pretty clever strategy. Blackthorne knows that the galley that they are on is far too small to ram past that blockade in and of itself. But they also see the black ship is also parked in the harbor. Of course, the same black ship that Toranaga has yet to give clearance to leave. So they come up. So Blackthorne has a pretty ingenious idea to potentially enlist the black ship to help them break the blockade, which they do. But unfortunately for Blackthorne, it comes at a pretty heavy price, at least to start. And again, the frickin' banter back and forth between Rodriguez and Blackthorne is just absolutely great. I love the kind of buddy cop relationship that these two characters have. It's really good banter, very witty.
Yeah, doesn't he
Very
say like,
witty.
"How's your mother?" And Blackthorne's like, "She's dead."
She's dead, yeah.
She's dead.
Still alive, hey, English. Still alive, I see. Ferrying around the man himself. That's one way to die. He's good, man. He's settling into this role beautifully. Nestor Carbano, just killing it. Every time I see him, I just can't help but see Richard from Lost, but he's definitely starting to settle into this role where I'm starting to see Richard less and less, and I'm just seeing Rodriguez now. So that's definitely the mark of a good performance, in my opinion. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
I just love the moment after this when they actually start sailing. That is the best banter of the
God,
whole
that is
thing.
that's my favorite part of the episode.
I
Indeed,
mean, I'm trying to hold it. I'm seriously, I can't hold back my excitement for that moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's just get there then. We'll skip it. We'll not skip this, but of course, Blackthorne, not Blackthorne, but Toranaga does board the black ship, and he strikes a deal with the captain of the black ship to help break the blockade. And in exchange, he gives him 10,000 to invest into the silk trade. And he also gives the church permission to build their own church in his hometown of Edo. But unfortunately, that is not enough for the captain of the black ship, as he also demands that they leave Blackthorne behind in Osaka. And you can tell, of course, Toranaga really did not want to do this at all. His first response is, "No, the Anjin is my guest." Then they play their trump card, for lack of better terms, and they show Toranaga the journals. The journals, of course, that prove Blackthorne is no mere merchant, but has been up to some skullduggery before he came to Japan.
Yes, his pirate ways.
His pirate
Yeah,
ways.
but you know
yeah.
what? I think it goes back to when Blackthorne had that first encounter with him, and he used the word that they think they own you, and Toranaga took that as such an insult. Like, did they
Yeah.
actually use the word own? And he was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't think he honestly gave a shit in that moment what was in those books, but he just knew he had to get out of there. And
Yeah.
as much as he didn't want to leave him behind, I honestly don't think that he's, even without them, he wouldn't have given it, like, because he does not like the Portuguese anymore. After,
No.
like, he was like, these motherfuckers think they own me. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you can definitely tell this is not something he wanted to do. He did not want to leave Blackthorne behind, but unfortunately he kind of didn't really have any choice. And then when they show him the journals on top of it, at that point it kind of forces Toranaga's hand to kind of accept the deal or stay here. That's it. So yeah, it's not something Toranaga wants to do, but unfortunately, in order for him to get away, he has to sacrifice his Anjin friend. But luckily for Blackthorne, he is no mere regular sailor. And that's what I love about Blackthorne is his just sheer determination to stay alive no matter what. This guy is a survivor at the end of the day. He is a true survivor and very adaptable. This guy can adapt in some of the most precarious situations, like this situation in particular, where here he is, he's down on his luck, he's left behind in nothing but this small galley. But Blackthorne says, "No, fuck this. I am not going to die here in Osaka. You guys are not going to hold me." And he devises a plan to hopefully beat the black ship and beating the blockade. And I really, again, this is just a great freaking scene. The banter and back and forth banter between Rodriguez and Blackthorne in this. At one point, you see Rodriguez just stroking the fucking thing like it's his It's like, yeah,
Yeah, he
Look
tells
at your
him,
mother's
your
arms.
mouth filled
Look at
like
your
with the ass
mother's
of the devil or something like that. And, yeah, I love it. He tells him, no, he straight up, Blackthorne straight up calls him, and I love it because of the fucking black eyes he does. He calls you like, you black-eyed son of a whore.
You black-eyed whore. Yeah.
How fast does that
Yes,
bitch
that's
go?
like more than a dig, like just to the show. I swear it was like a personal dig. This motherfucker got eyes that are black. Like he can't take that away. It's not makeup. So
Yeah.
it was so
Yeah.
good.
You
That
can't
extra
even
little
hide your
dig.
eyebrows here. You can't hide your eyebrows.
Yeah, you can't hide them here. Sorry, Richard. But that was just, again, and I'm really glad that the show is providing us with some of these moments of comedic relief and these moments of levity here and there, where it's not just 100% drama all the time. You need a laugh every now and then in every TV series, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, Blackthorne and Rodriguez in particular, they provide some really good comedic relief every now and again.
Well, he tells him something too, like how fast can that bitch go? Because he's gonna outrace him.
Yeah,
Like
how
he was
fast can that bitch
ready.
go, Rodriguez?
He was ready to race. And to be honest with you, dude, I mean, honestly, he did give it. Like Rodriguez gave him the edge at the end. But be
Yes.
fair, man, dude outraced y'all. Like with that little bitty boat, he shouldn't have been beating y'all. Like
He shouldn't have.
been that
Yeah,
close.
he shouldn't have even been close. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it does. It shows not only Blackthorne's determination to stay alive at all costs, but it also shows that he is a very skilled pilot. He's a super skilled sailor, and it definitely makes sense what was brought up in the chat earlier. How Toranaga in the books sees this scene and instantly realizes that for Japan to become a serious player, they need a navy of their own. Which makes perfect sense because Toranaga is seeing the power that just one ship can do here in this scene, let alone what they could do with a fleet of ships.
And I think
So
too,
that-
even like at one point, because they tell him, or the captain tells Rodriguez to go like 5. I don't know if he said 5 knots, but he said him go over like 5 little spaces or
Yeah,
whatever.
5 points. 5 points to
points.
starboard.
And
Yeah.
so I think Blackthorne's like, all right, that's cool, that's perfect. Go ahead, do that. I'm gonna kind of nudge this way, and just take them out, and then I'm gonna come back around. And he's like navigating this so beautifully.
Yeah.
And even to the point, at some point where they're like pushing him against the rocks, and he's like, just either sink me or let me pass, motherfuckers. Make up your mind. Like, let's do it either way.
I love it. Yeah, and it really is. It's such a good fucking scene, and they get super close to these rocks. And I mean, if Rodriguez wanted to sink him, he easily could have, but obviously he feels like he in some way, small shape or form, Rodriguez even has a small degree of honor himself.
Yeah.
Because even though him and Blackthorne are on totally different sides of this war, he still recognizes the debt that he owes to Blackthorne for Blackthorne saving his life in the first episode. So yeah, he lets off the gas a little bit and kind of slowly lets Blackthorne take the edge a little bit. And you even hear him say, he's like, now my debt to you is paid, and we're even at that point.
Yep, it's in the God's hand. It's in God's hand now, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, God be with you. You're gonna need him. Yeah. But it was a really good scene, and it just goes to show that even a scoundrel like Rodriguez has a little bit of honor in paying back his debts. So it was a good scene. It's a really good scene. And then Toranaga was just so freaking pumped when he made it. He's like, he did it. Yes. Super pumped.
And I think a lot of them just respect that bravery that Blackthorne has, that just fearlessness, because they want that. They're like, dude, you literally like almost single-handedly just taking on everybody and just pushed your way through. So they're just like in awe. Like, how is this dude still alive? How is he even able to do the things he's doing? So yeah,
how is he not given up yet? The fact that he hasn't given up in and of itself is impressive, but the fact that he's not only not giving up, but he's actually thriving here. Yeah, it just, Toranaga must see that and respect the kind of person that Blackthorne is, even if he is a pirate.
And then Toranaga's like, you know what? Peace out, Captain. I'm going back to my ship. He's like, I don't need you no more. Like, I'm good. I'm going with him. We're good. I'm out.
And I love how Ishido is on the on the bank watching the whole thing happen. He's like, shit, it appears they got through. Yep, sorry, Ishido. They made it.
I know he
Yeah,
just
please
keeps
thank the
slipping
Captain
through his
General for the
fingers,
rescue.
man. He can't
Yep.
keep them.
He can't. He just can't seem to keep Toranaga down. Toranaga keeps, like you said, slipping right through those fingers. And again, like it goes back to what Mariko says, where where Toranaga is very much known for his trickery. He's a very, very clever tactician, and he's always thinking 10 moves ahead of time. It seems.
What I'm curious about is after she told the priest, I'll give you this, basically let you build a temple or whatever church in my
Yep.
town. My understanding was for them to get the favor of some of the other regions, but
Yes.
they were like, we're
Yeah.
not going to do that completely. We'll pray upon it, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute. Then they're like going to hold him to this church, but I would think you can't hold someone to something if you didn't give your other end. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Like the way it was worded between them and stuff kind of confused me, because I'm like, okay, they're thinking they can hold him to this church even after death, but you were supposed to give up the regents to him so he can still have that power in council. So
Well,
I was kind of confused.
The way that I took it was because we hear the bishop say that he is not going to compel anybody by faith. So he's not going to force the regents to do anything. But he did say we can politely ask. So I think that's what they meant there, where they're not going to force the Christian regents to back Toranaga, but they can at the very least they can politely ask and pray on it, but it's not something that they're going to force them to do. Is kind of how I took it.
That's some bullcrap, because you don't get a church. I'm like, no.
I took it when Toranaga got back on the ship with Blackthorne as Toranaga saying, you know what, I don't need none of you guys. I'm good. We're gonna do this. And I think he didn't care about any of the deals he made in that moment. Once he saw Blackthorne get through, I took it as, yeah, we're good. I don't need you.
Could be. It could be.
I don't see him getting their church. Not with the war
Me
to
neither.
come. Because it's unfair. I can see them.
Think,
they're going to stab him in the back.
I think that church is going to be. Yeah, I think that church is going to be the least of everyone's problems once the actual war starts to break out, which it seems like it's about to. There's no exact numbers, but a lot of people have been saying it's one of the most expensive shows on FX. My guess, 10 to 15 million per episode, could be higher since it's a period piece and had to build sets. Yeah, House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, they spend anywhere around 10 to 20 million per episode, and this is definitely the production quality for Shogun is definitely similar to how big and massive a Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon production would be. So yeah, I imagine at the very least they probably spent 10 million per episode, at least, probably more. Because yeah, the freaking production quality is just stunning. The sets that they build, the wardrobe, all of it. They really went all out in creating this feudal Japan world right here in the States, no less. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought that this show was originally filmed in Japan. All of this is filmed right here in the States, which makes it just that much more impressive that they managed to kind of accurately capture what looks like feudal Japan right here in the States. Blackthorne remembered man yelling from being boiled alive. He was leaving that place, even if he had to swim like Michael Phelps. Very true. Very true. And again, it's just, you really get that sense of Blackthorne just has this deep determination to stay alive. He truly is a survivor, and a good one at that. He's no Richard Chamberlain, but this guy is growing on me. Richard Chamberlain, of course, was the actor who played Blackthorne in the 1980s Shogun series. But I gotta say, I think I prefer this Blackthorne myself, personally. But who knows? Who knows? Rodriguez may not be a Bible thumper either, but he has reverence for the country and the relationship necessary to continue reaping profits from Japan. Indeed, because we do see Rodriguez earlier trying to counsel the captain of the black ship not to leave without permission, stating that if you do that, we won't be invited to come back. So yeah, even if Rodriguez isn't a man of the cloth, he definitely still respects the kind of rules, as it were, for sure. Blackthorne seriously reminds me of that scene in Ace Ventura when the tribe keeps calling Ace the White Devil. A bit. And priests are as dirty as they come. Yeah, absolutely. They are definitely up to some skullduggery, indeed.
Grimy ass church.
Yeah, they are up to some skullduggery. The Captain General is a great villain to hate. Absolutely. And I imagine we're going to see much more of him. And yeah, the wardrobe is stunning for sure. Absolutely. The sets, the wardrobes, the costumes, all of it. It really came together beautifully on this series. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they spent anywhere from 10 to 15 million per episode. This is a very high production quality that we're seeing here, indeed.
Yeah, there's an
Great stuff.
elegance about the meetings when they're like this. Like the way they go in and just like the costumes just flow and everything's just so clean and beautiful and the fabric and it's just awesome to see.
It was, yeah. And yeah, I think parts of this were filmed in Vancouver as well. But if you look at some of the behind the scenes features, the creator of the show credits creating Japan in America. So a good portion of this was filmed in the States, at least according to the creator of the show. But I imagine they probably did some filming in Vancouver too. Vancouver is quickly becoming the new Hollywood. So many really good shows are filmed in Canada nowadays. More and more and more each year are starting to go to Vancouver and other parts of Canada, Ontario, to film their shows. Hell, look at From. From does just about all of its filming in Canada. So many shows are moving all of their production up to Canada these days, and they're kind of leaving Hollywood. And I say go for it, man. Fucking Hollywood's a cesspool. Get out of there.
Same with Yellow Jackets. Yellow Jackets is also filmed in Vancouver.
That's a Canada one too. Yeah, that's right. That's a Canada one. Yeah.
They got a lot of nice land up there too, probably still.
They
That's
do.
pretty
Yeah.
open. It's not taken up.
Yeah, especially if they're trying to convey some of the beautiful rainforests and woods that Japan does have. I imagine Canada would be a ideal place to try and convey some of those landscapes.
Yeah, especially with all the little the what is it, kind of the mist you see, the fog and stuff. Yeah, you probably see a lot of that in the treetops up there and stuff.
Yeah. It's they spared no expense. They really poured everything into this production. And it really paid off. The end product is freaking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The regent with leprosy doesn't have much time before he checks out, because weren't lepers' lifespan at that time short? I imagine so. I imagine his lifespan was much shorter back then for leprosy than it is nowadays. Yeah.
He probably got a few years extra just because I think the church was helping him, because that was kind of why he went to the church, is the way they explained it in the show. But yeah, he probably ain't gonna have too long.
Probably not. Yeah. We hear that his affliction his affliction of leprosy is what led him into the arms of the church. The priest tells Blackthorne. But next we are back at the council, and we see Toranaga's man comes in and lets Ashido and the rest of the council know that Toranaga has officially resigned from the council. And in effect, this kind of ties up the regent's hands, because at least according to this scene, the previous Taiko specifically required 5 votes for anything to be passed. So with them only having 4 regents, their hands are, or at least Toranaga is hoping, that their hands are going to be a little bit tied in terms of maneuvering and in terms of being able to legally impeach Toranaga. So I guess we'll have to see how that plays out. But again, it's just another example of Toranaga being a pretty clever strategist, where he had a feeling, I'm pretty sure he knew he was going to be impeached. So he feels, let me get in there and let me resign before they have a chance to impeach me. Hey, it's worth a shot, I guess.
Well, I
He was
wonder if he
shot.
did the impeachment because they caught him on his way out, or would he have held off on that? Because wasn't it if he dies, then the heir is at threat to
They
die?
all die.
They all
Yeah,
die.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was the summary justice that was handed out back in feudal Japan, unfortunately, where if a lord was killed, basically his entire household got killed along with him.
So maybe it was a way for him to, like I said, because he got caught, and they were even like, "Yeah, if we get caught, we're all gonna die." So he's like, well, "You know what? Maybe it's time to give up the council
Maybe.
seat." So
Just
I wonder, like, that's what I
maybe.
said. I wondered if he would have been able to keep it if he had not gotten caught.
Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But yeah, you can see the puss face on Ashido's face here. He's not happy. He is not pleased with Toranaga.
He can't catch him. He just
Just can't catch
can't.
him, man. He can't hold him down.
He's like, this dude did it again.
Fucking slippery Toranaga slips right through our fingers again.
And you can tell
Um,
he's done with the politics. Like, he's so done
Yeah.
with all this little crap. He's ready to fight. He just knows that they have to go by protocol, but he's just tired of it.
Exactly. And we hear him say that earlier on in episode 2 when he's talking with the rest of the regents. He says, this morning I saw myself probably how Toranaga sees us, as bureaucrats. And yeah, I definitely get the sense that you're right, Scarlett. It seems like he's getting a little sick of the whole, bureaucracy part of it, and maybe he wants to be a little more direct. And yeah, most kingdoms wiped out opponents to prevent an uprising, and that was pretty much why they did it in feudal Japan as well. It was basically so the future heirs, future generations of that person could not grow up and seek revenge. So yeah, if a lord got killed, they would kill the children, the grandchildren, the entire household got put to death along with the lord back then. Savage times, fucking savage times back then. Yeah, that he is a paper pusher. Indeed. Yeah, he's sitting there, he's stamping his papers every morning. We get a small glimpse at Ashido's like daily routine, waking up, getting dressed, stamping papers. He's a bureaucrat at the end of the day. He's not as much a samurai anymore. But then the episode ends on the boat, and we get some really good scenes here. And of course, Toranaga's son is wondering why his father doesn't trust him a little bit more. And Toranaga basically says, and I love the line, "You are playing a game of friends and enemies when you only have yourself in this life." And it's just, again, it's a brutal look at Toranaga's upbringing and why he really just doesn't trust anybody other than himself, not even his own son. And he's basically trying to impart that lesson onto his son that, yes, you might have friends and allies in this life, but at the end of the day, when the chips are down, you really only have yourself. And yeah, just you can totally see why Toranaga is so secretive like that and why he is very mistrusting.
Like, every man has a price, even your best friend.
Exactly. 30 pieces of silver was all it took. So,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, that very hard lesson for him to have learned at such a young age. But then again, that's what's kind of made him the man who he is. I mean, that's why he's so calculative about things.
Yeah, it's good. And he's incredibly calculated in his approach. He doesn't do anything half-assed. He doesn't do anything just off the handle. Toranaga is incredibly methodical in his planning, and it seems like he plans every little detail out as to what he is going to do, from the swap to getting to the docks. Everything, he had everything planned out. And unfortunately, his plan kind of got a wrench thrown in it when Kiyama's men started attacking. But up until that point, Toranaga's plan was going beautifully, absolutely beautifully, until he had to reveal himself there. And then the episode ends. We get Blackthorne and Mariko learning a little bit more about each other, and we get Blackthorne. We learn a little bit more about Blackthorne in particular, and specifically what sailing means to him, and how he feels like the sea was beckoning him. And we even find out that he left his unborn child to go and pursue his dreams out there on the sea. And I think a part of him definitely probably regrets that to some degree, maybe not being there for his kids. But it seems like the way he describes it here in this scene, the sea was beckoning him, and he kind of just had to, the pull was too strong, basically.
Yeah, I liked how he said, what was it? You don't see, it's not yesterday, it's not tomorrow. And then she's like, just today.
It's just
have
today. Yeah, future doesn't matter. Your past doesn't matter. You are just solely living in the moment when you are out there on sea. All that matters is the present. And yeah, it's and I imagine that is a point of view that Mariko would probably love to experience at some point, considering the totally different and sheltered upbringing that she kind of had compared to the free upbringing that Blackthorne had. Whereas Mariko was she definitely wasn't for the same freedom and privilege growing up, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, and then he said something like, when he was talking about it, how he's like looking at the horizon, he's like, I like it even more than the ocean or whatever. I like the horizon even more than the horizon is the freedom. And it was just the way he said it was so good. I know I just kind of butchered it, but he said it so beautifully.
No, you got it. You got it. It was good. It was very good. It was very poetic. And you get a little bit more of an insight into Blackthorne and kind of what motivates him and what his goals and drives and aspirations are. He's a sailor at the end of the day. This is where he is free. This is where he is most happy. And you definitely get that feeling. I mean, you just see the smile on his face when he and Rodriguez were racing. He was loving every second of that adrenaline rush.
Yeah,
this is where he's
alive. Yeah, he was alive. That's where he's living, in that, in the ocean, in that freedom of just not even knowing. Like I said, just living right now. I could live. We could die. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, just that pure, unadulterated freedom that he really enjoys at the helm of a ship. And apparently, no, even if he was caught, the council would convene to vote 4-1 to impeach him. Then he would have to succumb to whatever they decide as per Taiko's rules. That's why they use the Anjin to sow division. And yeah, we do see Toranaga, and thank you for that explanation. But yeah, we do see that in the earlier episodes where Toranaga is hoping that Blackthorne can sow some kind of division between the Christian regions and Ishido. So that's a good point. Very good point. He should play Risk to improve his strategy, says Awesome One. Yeah, he should. Toranaga is calculated and meticulous like Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. Very similar. Yeah, Gus was super methodical, super calculated, and Gus was one of those characters where you just always felt he knew the outcome of every situation before it was going to happen. He was just so freaking prepared. And you get that same kind of sense with Toranaga as well, where he is super prepared for any outcome. So yeah, that's a very good comparison for sure.
Yeah, it's like everybody's playing checkers and Toranaga's playing 3D chess. Like he's knowing stuff around him and taking things into consideration to where Ishido's just like, we gotta kill him. We gotta kill him. That's it. He's so one track mind, like that mindset, that he's not taking everything else into consideration like Toranaga is. Like he is sitting there planning for everything, making sure. And like you said, the only wrench was the fact that they were coming after Blackthorne. Like in that moment, he would have gotten away with it. He would have gotten totally through that whole situation had they not come to try to kill him.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and like you said, in terms of like the bigger picture, you definitely get the sense that yes, Toranaga, of course, is fleeing because he doesn't want to get killed, but you also get the sense that Toranaga genuinely wants what's best for the country as a whole, whereas Ishido seems to just be trying to advance his own designs. And yeah, all Yabu cares about is he still has his head after his feud between the two lords. He'll do anything for that to happen, even if it means defecting or triple-crossing people. And again, I mean, that is something that he definitely shares in common with Blackthorne, where they're survivors at the end of the day, where Yabu is seemingly he's going to do whatever he can to try and survive, to keep his head at the end of the day. If that means betraying one lord or the other, he'll do that. They're both survivors. They just approach it from two different standpoints, where Blackthorne is a little bit more on the honorable side, whereas Yabushige is, he'll just do whatever he has to do to survive, whether it's honorable or not, it seems. And yeah, it's Shia LaBeouf again. I saw a lot of people were calling Blackthorne Shia LaBeouf, actually. I don't think he looks like Shia, but it's pretty funny. He's a freaking pirate! Blackthorne gives me vibes he's running away from something. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like maybe there's something in his past that he doesn't want to catch up with.
I mean, Blackthorne even sounds like a pirate name to me. I don't know why, but I get very piratey.
It's super close to Blackbeard, so it definitely invokes that kind of pirate sense. So yeah, Blackthorne is a very piratey name for sure.
Like all he needs is his peg leg and his eye patch.
Yep. Good to go. Good to go. But this is a good scene here where Toranaga informs Blackthorne that he has the journals, that proof that he is a pirate. And unfortunately, this is a penalty that is punishable by death. But Toranaga also buys Blackthorne some much-needed time, giving him that kind of nod in the wink, saying, but don't worry, these are going to take a long time to translate. So he's definitely buying Blackthorne some time to, maneuver. And in the meantime, he wants Blackthorne to teach a new regiment in foreign fighting tactics, using the cannons and the guns that were on the Erasmus. And Blackthorne also uses this opportunity to secure the release of the rest of his crew and get his ship back as well. So it was a very clever exchange here between Toranaga and Blackthorne, with Toranaga ultimately bestowing on him the title of Hatamoto, which is essentially making Blackthorne a samurai now, a legit samurai. Hatamoto roughly translates to bannerman, but Hatamoto was described as a shogun in the higher echelon of a shogunate. So it seems like from this point forward, Blackthorne is, at least in name, a samurai. He's a samurai now.
I loved it. He got his name. It was actually pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. And this is something that they pulled right out of history. Now, of course, the character of John Blackthorne that is on this show, and the character of John Blackthorne that is in the original book, is based on a real based on a real person from history by the name of William Adams. William Adams was the first outsider to ever land in Japan and the first outsider to ever earn the rank of samurai. So John Blackthorne is loosely based on William Adams. And I will be doing an in-depth video in the coming weeks and months, breaking down some of the real-life characters behind some of the characters on the show, like William Adams and Blackthorne, like Tokugawa and Toranaga, like the real Ashita and the Ashido on the show. A lot of these characters were pulled right from history and are loosely based on real figures. And I'm going to be doing some videos on each one of them, diving into the similarities and to some of the differences. But yeah, he got his samurai title in this moment. Blackthorne is officially a samurai. Crazy. Crazy stuff. And then, of course, the episode ends on a little bit of a lighter note where Toranaga invites Blackthorne to go for a swim with him, where he proceeds to teach Toranaga how to dive. And again, I love how Toranaga is just making him dive over and over and over and over again. And at first, I thought he was just kind of screwing with him, but someone in my comment section pointed out that maybe this was Toranaga's way to get Blackthorne to have another bath, since he refused the previous bath that he was offered. Maybe Blackthorne was getting a little ripe, and Toranaga was sick of the smell. But it was just it was a good way to end off the episode. It's nice to see, an episode end on a little bit of a high note like this. And,
dude, you could see like the beatings, man. They made sure that you saw Blackthorne, like he was all jacked up.
Yeah. He's messed.
How many times is he going to make me do this until he's satisfied? Numerous times.
It was just a good scene, and you definitely get the sense that Toranaga and Blackthorne are genuinely developing a real friendship. That Toranaga definitely has some real admiration for Blackthorne, and in turn, Blackthorne definitely has some admiration for Toranaga. So you can definitely see a genuine friendship being blossomed here.
I love the race. That was fun. I mean, you don't really get to see the whole thing, but just how he's like, she tells him, he wants to race with you, and please don't let him win. He doesn't appreciate that. He's like, I'd never think of doing that. No, it's on. I'm gonna kick this old man's ass.
Yeah, it was a really good way to end the episode off. I like, every once in a while end an episode off on a high note like this, and I only wish we could have seen who won the race. But overall, this was definitely my favorite episode of the season so far. Every episode has been great, but like you said earlier, Dana, it seems like just every episode just gets better and better and better than the previous. But I'm liking all of them so far, but this was definitely the highlight so far for me personally. Definitely my favorite episode. It had some of the best memorable moments, some of the best dialogue exchanges happen in this episode, whether it's the banter between Blackthorne and Rodriguez, whether it's a little bit of the character building and world development between Mariko and Blackthorne. Really, really good dialogue moments in this episode, and some good world building and some good character development. We learned a good deal about some of our characters, Blackthorne and Toranaga in particular, learning about Toranaga's childhood, his history with his father, trading him to a rival Busho, and learning a little bit more about Blackthorne's history as well, and that he has a family of his own back home. So all in all, I definitely give this episode a solid 9 out of 10. What about you guys, Scarlett, if you had to give this one a rating out of 10? And definitely let me know in the chat as well, guys. If you guys had to give this episode a rating, with 1 being bad and 10 being perfect, how would you rate this episode out of 10? Me, I think this was a solid 9 out of 10 for me. What do you think, Scarlett?
Yeah, definitely a 9. Like I said, I'm giving all 3 a 9 at this point, because they just are killing it each episode. So yeah, I definitely give it a 9. Awesome.
Yeah, we got a 9 out of 10 from Wolf Spear. We got a 9.5 out of 10 from Star. Awesome. We got a 9.5 from Leo V as well. And I 100% agree. The Buntaro scene was definitely one of my favorite scenes. Between that scene and the banter back and forth between Rodriguez and Blackthorne during the race, those were my 2 favorite scenes of the episode, definitely, for sure. What about you, Dana? What would you give this one out of 10?
I'm right with you guys. I'm a 9 for sure. And I have a feeling we're going to get that 10 episode. We're going to get a 10 in here somewhere, because since all of them have just been 9s, they can only go up from here. And I'm excited to see what's next, what's going to happen. And I just love that the story and this, they give you the action, they give you the story, they give you the history. It's just the whole good bundle of goodness.
Yeah, it was. You definitely get a little bit of everything in this episode. You get a little bit of that political intrigue. You get some good action, some good dialogue. It's got a little bit of everything you get into this in this episode in particular, and some just really good character moments.
I think too, what I'm really enjoying about this is the feeling as you're watching through it that you don't feel ripped off by the episode. Sometimes I feel like when we're watching some of these series now, especially with them not giving as many episodes, they just feel like they're kind of you don't really get a lot with them. You get a lot of dialogue, but it's kind of empty. It's just filler stuff. But this is so packed that even after certain moments, I'm like, oh man, this must be the end of the show. But then I look, I'm like, oh, there's 30 minutes left. Holy crap. I'm oh my God, what is about to happen? So
I'm
enjoying that.
No, I was getting that exact same feeling. It's funny that you say that, because I kept checking my timer counter to see how far into the episode I was. When we got to the point when Buntaro was doing his last stand, I thought for sure we were at the end of the episode. And then when we saw the race between Rodriguez and Blackthorne, I thought for sure, I was like, okay, this is the end of the episode. Then I checked my timer and there's still like 20 fucking minutes left. So yeah, they're packing so much good content into these episodes, but not so much where it's affecting the pacing. Pacing is super important for shows. For me personally, a show could have a really good story, really good concept, but if the pacing is off, it kind of just throws me out of the experience. So I always look for good pacing in a series, and this has been paced beautifully up until this point. Episode 1 starts off as a little bit of a slow burn. You're getting character introductions, world introductions. Episode 2 kind of expands on the plot a little bit more. We get some good character and world developing moments. And then episode 3 really starts to kick the doors open even more and advances the plot very nicely. So I really like the pacing overall for Shogun up until this point. It's paced beautifully. And it looks like Crazy Matt is an 8.5 for this one. Liked episode 2 a little bit better. Awesome. That's cool. We have a 9 out of 10 for episode 1, a 9.5 out of 10 for episode 2, and an 8.5 out of 10 for episode 3. Awesome ratings, guys. Awesome ratings indeed. Yeah, when it comes to awarding a show a perfect 10 out of 10, I very rarely do that. It's very hard to. I try to reserve my 10s for episodes that I feel that really, really deserve them. I think the most recent 10 that I have given out was during House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 8, The Lord of the Tides, where we got Viserys' last stand in the throne room and that awesome dinner scene. That's probably the last time I've handed out a 10 out of 10 perfect episode, just because that episode was just absolutely perfect from start to finish, like literally perfect. So I try to hold off on my 10s for episodes that I feel like really knock it out of the park. But this one, at the very least, this one is definitely, for me anyway, a solid 9 out of 10 easily. But yeah, great ratings, guys. Great ratings.
But what's exciting is that the potential is there. This show has the potential of giving us a 10 episode. Like that we're all sitting here like, okay, here we go. Like, this was amazing. This was great. Like, so that's also another thing that I love, is that the potential is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm super glad that we still have 7 episodes to look forward to on this. I'm don't get me wrong. I do sometimes miss the days where we have those 20 episode seasons like we did for Lost and some of the older shows. But I'm super glad that we're getting 10 full episodes of Shogun, and we still have 7 awesome episodes to look forward to. So this story is just getting started, guys, and we are going to be here for the entire ride. And thank you so much, Leo V, for the $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Very much appreciate that. Awesome breakdown from everyone. Good night, and hope to catch y'all next week. Well, thank you for that, my friend. And we will definitely be here next week as well. We are going to do these every Wednesday, probably around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern is when we'll start. But every Wednesday, we are going to be doing a Shogun After Show right here on the channel. And we would love for you guys to come back and hang out with us and discuss the latest episodes. Let us know what you guys liked, what you didn't like. We want to hear. We want to hear about all of it. And it's always just I genuinely have a blast discussing shows like this with everybody. It's always fun to kind of get into the weeds and see some of the scenes that we liked, some of the scenes that maybe we didn't like, and just kind of get into the nitty gritty of Shogun. So yeah, we're definitely going to be doing weekly after shows every Wednesday right here on the channel. And I can't wait for next week's episode. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. But again, thank you so much, Leo V, for the $5 super chat, and you definitely deserve a whoa.
Whoa!
Yeah, awesome.
Whoa, indeed. Yes. For anyone who's new to the channel, anytime someone sends in a super chat, we send back a whoa to the chat. So a whoa for Leo. Thank you so much, man. Very appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. And we also have a Gen Hack membership chat for 8 months. Thank you so much, Jen, for being a member for 8 months. That is incredibly generous of you, and you are always a welcome sight here. Shogun is awesome. Hell yes, my friend. It is. Again, this show came around at the perfect time. I felt like we were definitely in the middle of a drought when it came to having some really good shows. At least us here on this channel, we were very much, and we still are, very much looking forward to season 2 of House of the Dragon. But of course, that isn't coming out until summer. From season 3, probably won't be out until late summer, early fall. So this show came around at the perfect time to give us a proper, good show to kind of dive into and really invest in, and that's what we're going to do. I've been having so much fun, not only watching this show, but breaking it down as well, discussing it with everybody in the chat, discussing it with everybody in the comment sections, making recorded videos on some of the episodes. It's been an absolute blast. It's been a while since we've reviewed a proper show here on the channel. I think the last show we properly reviewed was from season 2 last year. So it's fun to get back into the nitty-gritty and have a really good show to look forward to. And again, we will be here every Wednesday breaking down the latest episodes, and we hope you guys come back and hang out with us, because everyone is welcome. But we're going to get ready to close it down now. Again, awesome freaking episode. Cannot wait until next week. And of course, I want to thank my awesome and amazing co-hosts, Scarlet Fever and Dana Marie. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Always, man. You know we enjoy ourselves hanging out with you and the greatest chat in all the land.
The best chat in all of YouTube. Absolutely.
So true. So true. We have a blast. Thank you for having us, as always.
Absolutely. And yeah, of course. And always the biggest thank you goes out to you guys in the chat. I cannot thank you guys enough. You guys have been so supportive of the channel. You guys have been so supportive of the videos that we have been doing. They've been doing really, really well. They've been getting some really good numbers, and I cannot thank each and every one of you enough for all of the support. And I look forward to breaking down the rest of Shogun with everybody. We will be here again next Wednesday, diving into episode 4. And be on the lookout. I will probably have my episode 4 trailer breakdown out on Friday. Friday morning, I will be releasing my episode 4 trailer breakdown. But right now, my episode 3 breakdown is up on the channel. I uploaded that this morning, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. And definitely leave your thoughts and comments down below. And of course, we will see all of you guys on the next one. Have a good night, everyone, and stay safe out there. Bow.
Bye.